The notification sound on his phone was familiar, the same chime that announced dozens of business messages each day. But when Adrian Castellano glanced at the screen during his board meeting, he saw something that made him pause mid-sentence. Wrong number, I think, but I'm desperate. My baby is sick and I can't afford the medication. The pharmacy wants 340 and I only have 73. I know you said you couldn't help anymore. But Sarah is crying and burning up with fever. I'm begging you, please. Adrian stared at the message. His prepared speech about third-quarter projections forgotten. Around the conference table, 15 executives waited for him to continue, but his attention was entirely on those words. My baby is sick. Excuse me, Adrian said, standing abruptly. We'll reconvene in 20 minutes. He left the room to a chorus of confused murmurs and dialed the number that had sent the message. It rang 4 times before a woman's voice answered, breathless and stressed. Thank God, I didn't think you'd call back. I think you have the wrong number, Adrian interrupted gently. But I got your message. About your daughter. About the medication. There was a long silence then. Oh, God. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. I meant to text my ex. I'm so sorry. Please just delete that. I'm mortified. Wait, Adrian said quickly before she could hang up. Your baby is sick. You need medication. What pharmacy are you at? What? Which pharmacy? Adrian repeated, already grabbing his coat. I'm going to take care of it. You can't just... I don't even know you. I sent that message by mistake. I know, but your daughter is sick and you need help. That's all that matters. Which pharmacy? There was another pause, and Adrian could hear a baby crying in the background, a miserable, congested sound that tugged at something in his chest. Sullivan's Pharmacy on Maple Street, the woman finally said, her voice breaking. But I can't just accept money from a stranger. I shouldn't have even sent that text to my ex. I was desperate and not thinking clearly. What's your name? Adrian asked, already heading to the elevator. Emma Reyes. Emma, my name is Adrian. I'm going to call the pharmacy right now and take care of the prescription. And then, if you're willing, I'd like to bring by some things for your daughter. Food, diapers, whatever you need. No strings attached. Just one person helping another. Why would you do this? Emma asked, bewildered. Adrian thought about how to answer that as he stepped into the elevator. Because 10 years ago, I was a kid sleeping in my car with my mother. We were homeless for 8 months. And one night when I was sick, really sick, probably pneumonia, a stranger at a gas station gave my mom money for medicine in a motel room. He said the same thing I'm saying to you now. Just one person helping another. That stranger probably saved my life. I've been looking for ways to pay that forward ever since. Emma was crying now. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just give me half an hour. Adrian was 34 years old, with dark hair and the kind of polished appearance that came from years in boardrooms and investor meetings. He'd built Castellano Tech from nothing, a kid with a laptop and an idea, turning it into a company worth $200 million. He wore custom suits and drove a Tesla and lived in a penthouse that overlooked the city. But he'd never forgotten what it felt like to be hungry, to be scared, to watch his mother cry because she couldn't afford to keep him safe and healthy. And when opportunities arose to help others in similar situations, he never hesitated. 25 minutes later, Adrian stood outside a modest apartment building in a neighborhood he recognized as struggling but safe. He carried several bags from the pharmacy and the grocery store. Not just the prescribed medication, but children's pain reliever, a thermometer, Pedialyte, and formula, plus food for an adult who probably hadn't been eating while caring for a sick child. The woman who opened the door was in her late 20s, with long brown hair pulled back in a messy ponytail and exhaustion written across her face. She wore a brown cardigan over a simple dress, and there were what looked like spit-up stains on her shoulder. In her arms, she held a baby, maybe 6 months old, with red cheeks and glassy eyes, wearing a light blue onesie. Adrian? Emma asked, her eyes widening as she took in his appearance. His white button-down shirt and dress pants probably cost more than her monthly rent. Emma, hi. Adrian held up the bags. I got the prescription and some other things I thought might help. Can I come in? Emma stepped back, looking overwhelmed. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, the place is a mess. Sarah's been sick for 3 days and I've barely slept. The apartment was small but clean despite Emma's apology. There was a world map on the wall, old and slightly faded, and toys scattered across the floor. A playpen stood in one corner, and the couch looked like it had been converted into a makeshift bed with pillows and blankets. "Please, sit down," Emma said, gesturing to the couch. "Can I get you something to drink? Water? Coffee? I'm afraid that's all I have." "I'm fine, thank you." Adrian set the bags on the coffee table. "How's Sarah doing?" As if in answer, the baby started crying, a pitiful, congested sound. Emma immediately started bouncing her gently, making soothing noises. "She's miserable," Emma said, her own voice thick with tears. "She's had a fever for 3 days. I took her to the urgent care clinic yesterday. I had to put it on a credit card. I'm already maxed out on, and they said it's an ear infection. They prescribed antibiotics and fever reducer. But when I got to the pharmacy..." She trailed off, clearly embarrassed. "You didn't have enough to cover it," Adrian finished gently. "I understand. Medical care is expensive even with insurance." "I don't have insurance," Emma admitted. "I lost my job 4 months ago. I was working as a graphic designer for a small marketing firm. But they went under. I've been doing freelance work, but it's not steady. And childcare is so expensive that sometimes I'm barely breaking even. Sarah's father, my ex, he was supposed to help. But he moved to another state and stopped answering my calls. I thought maybe if I texted him about Sarah being sick, he'd care enough to help, but I guess I typed the number wrong. And..." She laughed, but it was a broken sound. "And you got my desperate message instead." "I'm glad I did," Adrian said. "Here, let me show you what I got." He pulled out the prescription medication first, then the other items. Emma's eyes filled with tears when she saw how much he'd brought. "This is too much," she whispered. "I can't possibly accept all this." "Yes, you can," Adrian said firmly. "Emma, your daughter is sick. You're struggling. Let me help. That's all this is, help. No judgment, no strings. Just help." Emma sat down on the couch, still holding Sarah, and started crying in earnest. "I've been trying so hard to do this alone, to prove I could handle it, but I'm drowning. Every month it gets harder. I'm behind on rent. I've been eating 1 meal a day so I can afford formula. I sold most of my furniture, my laptop, everything I could sell. And it's still not enough. I keep thinking about what happens if we get evicted. Where would we go? I don't have family. Sarah's father is gone. I've been so scared." Adrian felt something crack in his chest. This could have been his mother decades ago. This could have been him and his mom, desperate and alone. "You're not alone anymore," he said quietly. "I'd like to help you, Emma, not just today, but ongoing. I want to make sure you and Sarah are okay." Emma looked up at him, her eyes red from crying. "Why? You don't even know me." "I sent you one wrong text message." "Maybe it wasn't wrong," Adrian said. "Maybe it was exactly right. Maybe the universe knew you needed help and put that message in front of someone who could provide it." "I don't believe in the universe doing things like that," Emma said. "Neither did I until about an hour ago," Adrian admitted. Over the next hour, Adrian learned more about Emma's situation. She'd gotten pregnant at 28, during what she'd thought was a serious relationship. When she'd told her boyfriend, he'd immediately ended things and made it clear he wanted nothing to do with the baby. Emma's parents had passed away years earlier in a car accident, and she had no siblings, no close family. She'd been managing on her own until the company she worked for collapsed, taking her steady income with it. "I'm not looking for a handout," Emma said firmly, even as she gave Sarah the prescribed medication with obvious relief. "I'm capable. I'm skilled. I just need a break, a chance, time to get back on my feet." "I believe you," Adrian said, "and I think I might be able to help with that too. My company is always looking for talented designers." "What's your background?" Emma's eyes widened. "Your company? What kind of company?" "Tech, software, apps, web development. Castellano Tech. Maybe you've heard of it?" Emma's jaw actually dropped. "Castellano Tech, you're Adrian Castellano." "Oh my God, I interviewed with your company 2 years ago for a senior designer position." Now it was Adrian's turn to be surprised. "You did?" "I didn't get the job. They said I was talented, but they went with someone with more experience." Emma laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "I'm sitting here in my falling apart apartment, accepting charity from a stranger. And that stranger is a CEO I once interviewed with. This is surreal. Who did you interview with? Adrian asked. Marcus Chen. He was the creative director at the time. Marcus doesn't work for me anymore, Adrian said. He left 6 months ago to start his own firm. We have a new creative director now, Jennifer Park. She's excellent. And she's been looking for senior designers. If you're interested, I could arrange an interview. An interview I'd only be getting because you feel sorry for me, Emma said, and there was hurt in her voice. No, Adrian said firmly. An interview you'd be getting because you're qualified and we have an opening. What happens in that interview is entirely up to you and Jennifer. I won't interfere. I won't tell her about our connection. She'll evaluate you on your portfolio and your skills alone. Fair? Emma looked at him for a long moment, then down at Sarah, who was finally starting to settle, the medicine beginning to work. Fair, she finally said, but I need to be clear about something. I'm grateful, so grateful I can't even express it properly. But I won't be someone's charity project. I won't be the poor single mom you rescued. If I interview with your company, it has to be real. And if this, she gestured between them, whatever this is, if it's going to be anything, it has to be real too. Not you feeling sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you, Adrian said. I feel respect for you. You're raising a child alone, doing whatever it takes to survive. That's not something to pity. That's something to admire. Emma smiled. A small smile, but the first genuine one Adrian had seen from her. Okay, then yes, I'd like to interview. Good. I'll have Jennifer reach out to you next week. In the meantime, Adrian pulled out his phone. I'm going to transfer some money to your account to cover this, month's rent and groceries. And before you argue, consider it a loan if that makes you more comfortable. You can pay me back once you're on your feet. How much are you going to transfer? Emma asked warily. Enough so you can stop worrying about eviction and eat more than one meal a day, Adrian said. Emma, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Letting some of it help you and Sarah isn't charity. It's just practical resource allocation. You make helping people sound like a business decision, Emma said. Everything I do is influenced by business thinking, Adrian admitted. But this is personal. This is remembering what it felt like to be the person who needed help and choosing to be the person who provides it. Emma gave him her bank information, still looking uncomfortable but also relieved. When Adrian transferred $5,000, enough to cover rent, food, utilities, and medical bills with some cushion, Emma actually gasped. Adrian, that's too much. That's way too much. It's exactly enough, Adrian said. Trust me. He stayed for another hour, helping Emma give Sarah a bath, which the baby hated but which helped with the fever, and showing her how to use the thermometer he'd brought. He made Emma dinner from the groceries he'd purchased, just a simple pasta dish. But Emma ate like she hadn't had a decent meal in weeks, which she probably hadn't. Before he left, Adrian wrote his personal number on a piece of paper. Call me if you need anything. And I mean anything. Emma. Medical emergency, car breaks down, you're having a bad day and need to talk to someone. I mean it. Why are you doing this? Emma asked again. Really? Adrian looked at Sarah, sleeping peacefully now in her playpen, her fever finally broken. Because nobody should have to face the world alone. Because your daughter deserves to grow up with food and shelter and medical care. Because you deserve not to be drowning. And because I can help, so I should. I think you might be the kindest person I've ever met, Emma said softly. I've had a lot of help getting where I am, Adrian said. This is just me passing it along. Over the following weeks, Adrian stayed in touch with Emma. He checked on Sarah's recovery. She bounced back quickly once the antibiotics kicked in. He sent Jennifer Park Emma's portfolio without revealing their connection. And when Emma aced the interview and was offered a senior designer position with a salary that would comfortably support her and Sarah, Adrian felt a satisfaction that was different from any business success he'd ever achieved. I got it, Emma called to tell him, her voice bright with joy. They offered me the job. And Adrian, Jennifer said it was entirely based on my portfolio. She said she doesn't even know how I ended up in their candidate pool, that I must have applied through their website. She doesn't know about you. That's because I kept my word, Adrian said. You earned that position, Emma. I just opened a door. You walked through it. Can I buy you dinner to say thank you? Emma asked. I know it's probably weird given the circumstances, but I'd like to thank you properly. You don't owe me thanks, Adrian said. But yes, I'd like to have dinner with you. They met at a modest Italian restaurant in Emma's neighborhood. Emma had arranged for her neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Chen, who apparently adored Sarah, to babysit. She wore a simple blue dress and had styled her hair in loose waves, and Adrian thought she looked beautiful. You clean up nice, Emma said with a smile, when she saw him in jeans and a button-down instead of his usual suit. I wasn't sure CEOs owned casual clothes. I have one pair of jeans, Adrian admitted. I bought them specifically for tonight. I didn't want to intimidate you with a suit. Emma laughed, a real laugh, full and warm. You're a weird billionaire. Millionaire, Adrian corrected. Not quite billionaire yet, though we're working on it. Over dinner, they talked about everything and nothing. Emma told him about her life before Sarah, her dreams of being a designer, her parents who died too young. Adrian told her about his childhood, his years in foster care after his mother died, the family who'd eventually adopted him and given him stability. So you really were homeless, Emma said. That wasn't just a story to make me feel better. It was real, Adrian confirmed. 8 months in a car. Then my mom died and I went into the system. I bounced around until I was 16 when the Castellanos adopted me. They gave me everything, stability, education, belief in my potential. I owe them everything. Are they still around? Emma asked. My father passed away 5 years ago. Heart attack. My mother's in a care facility, early onset, Alzheimer's. I visit her twice a week, though she doesn't always remember who I am anymore. I'm sorry, Emma said, reaching across the table to touch his hand. The contact sent warmth through Adrian's arm. We take what time we have, Adrian said. That's all any of us can do. They continued meeting for dinner, coffee, weekend outings to the park with Sarah. Slowly, carefully, friendship deepened into something more. Adrian fell for Emma's strength, her determination, her fierce love for her daughter. Emma fell for Adrian's kindness, his humility despite his success, the way he looked at Sarah like she was precious. 3 months after that first wrong number text, Adrian stood in Emma's apartment, the same apartment. Though it looked different now, with new furniture and fresh paint and toys that weren't worn or broken. Sarah, now 9 months old, was playing on the floor, babbling happily. She's walking, Adrian said, watching Sarah pull herself up on the couch. Almost, Emma said proudly. Any day now. The pediatrician says she's ahead of all her milestones. She's healthy and happy and thriving. Like her mother, Adrian observed. Emma smiled. I am thriving. The job is amazing. I'm making enough to save money for the first time in years. Sarah has everything she needs. We're doing well. I'm glad, Adrian said. And then, because he couldn't wait any longer, Emma, I need to tell you something. That sounds ominous, Emma said, but she was smiling. It's not ominous. It's just, I've fallen in love with you, with both of you. Somewhere between that first panicked text message and now, you've become the most important people in my life, and I needed you to know that. Emma's smile widened. Good, because I've fallen in love with you too. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you, without it seeming like gratitude or obligation or some kind of debt repayment. And, Adrian prompted, and then I realized it doesn't matter how it looks to anyone else. What matters is that it's real. What we have is real. It started with a wrong number text, but it grew into something true. I love you, Adrian. Not because you helped me when I was desperate. Not because you got me a job. But because of who you are. Kind, genuine, present. You show up. Not just for me, but for Sarah. You've become part of our family. Adrian pulled her close and kissed her, a soft kiss that felt like coming home. Sarah chose that moment to take her first unassisted steps, lurching forward and landing in Adrian's arms with a delighted shriek. Did you see that? Emma exclaimed. She walked! Her first steps! Right into my arms, Adrian said, his voice thick with emotion as he held. The baby girl who'd become his daughter in all but name. That feels about right. A year later, Adrian proposed to Emma in that same apartment, the place, where their story had begun, where he'd first brought medicine and groceries and hope. Sarah, now almost 2, was their ring bearer, toddling forward with the small box clutched in her chubby hands. "A year and a half ago, you sent me a message by mistake," Adrian said as he knelt before Emma. "But Emma, I don't think anything that brought us together was a mistake. I think the universe knew exactly what it was doing when it put your message in front of me. You've given me a family. You've shown me what it means to build something real with someone. You've let me love Bo.